Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I wanted to let you know next week I'm going to be interviewing Jim Bazzani from Caleb and Brown. So if you have any questions, send me a DM on X. My email's in my description of all my videos if you'd rather send me an email if you have any questions. And Caleb and Brown, as you know, is one of my partners. I use them for my XRP institutional custody with Fireblocks. I also use them because I get a broker that I can actually call or email and execute a trade if I want. And the, of course, over-the-counter liquidity. If you want to open a Caleb and Brown account, they're one of the two companies I use. I've made it easy. You can go to xrpwealth589.com and then it forwards you to my page here on Caleb and Brown. You just click sign up today. All right, we've got a 305 XRP. Now, yesterday, Caitlyn Long decided to wade into the fray against Ripple and XRP. Today, we have Mark Yusko for you. And before I play this, I want to remind you all, because he references how Circle was hatched out of Goldman Sachs. And then he also mentions in here that he's not a Brad Garlinghouse fan. Circle, and you'll notice, with all of the Bitcoin and Ethereum maxis, there's about 3 or 4 things they won't touch, that they never attack. They never attack Circle. This is not a coincidence, by the way. They never attack Circle. They never attack Bitcoin. They never attack Ethereum. They never attack Tether, because all of that is part of the entire racket, okay? You'll remember ETHgate, Goldman Sachs, and JP Morgan had people there before the mainnet launch. We've shown you the videos. JP Morgan banked Mt. Gox before there was even an Operation Choke Point 2.0. Way back in like 2011, we've shown you the screenshots of that. The Bitcoin Ethereum PR machine constantly attacking Ripple while the media promotes Bitcoin. This crypto thing has been sold to you as this thing that just hatched out of nowhere. It did not. I've been here a long time. It did not. This thing from the word go has had governments involved and a lot of these Wall Street behemoths involved, and they've tried to sell it like it's this libertarian movement, and it's not. And that's why you see them all attacking Ripple. And why? Because Ripple's been the most transparent company in crypto, while with Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tether, all these things, everything's hidden. You can't do an audit of Tether. You can't go and find out who the disguised whales were from Ethereum. And you're supposed to believe that Satoshi is this mysterious person when it's not. There's 4 of them. Homeland Security met with them. It's all one big giant bunch of bull. And that's why they go after Ripple.
It's kind of like Circle, right? So Circle, the guy spun out of Goldman Sachs and they start this business and everybody says, oh, that's stupid, it'll never work. And it just quietly, and look, everyone knows I'm not a Brad Garlinghouse fan, and I probably shouldn't say that, but I'm just not. But because of the way he did what he did with XRP, it's up. Oh, I told you it was up. Like, great. It went from 220 to 265. Knock yourselves out. But
no, actually 50 cents to like 361ish, I think.
But he did start to do something interesting in the last year or so, where he took this highly inflated asset. Okay, did he really?
They don't ever say Bitcoin or Ethereum's highly inflated.
Created from nothing.
They were created from nothing. Bitcoin and Ethereum.
ICO. And
Ripple did not have an ICO, and he knows that. That's a lie.
And he owns a bunch of it. And started buying real.
And who owns a bunch of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana? The VCs. And a lot of these people that were disguised at launch.
Businesses.
Or they bought it behind the scenes, either at launch or at a discount after launch.
With an inflated currency. It's kind of what CoreWeave is doing with Core Scientific. Mm-hmm. Right? CoreWeave was going to buy, it was with a Core Scientific was going to provide CoreWeave with a bunch of of services, and they were going to have to pay them $10 billion a year. And they said, well, we'll just buy you for $8 billion. And that's a good thing. So you take your inflated stock and you buy an asset.
He's totally cool with Michael Saylor borrowing money to buy Bitcoin. That's a great model.
And you arbitrage the difference.
Ripple's sitting on $1.5 billion in cash.
And so Brad came in and said, all right, Circle, I'll pay you $8 billion. And Jeremy was like, ha, yeah, you wish. And everybody's like, no, that's a big number. It was only worth a couple billion. And he's offering you 8. Like, no. And literally a week later, he doubled the bid to 16. And everybody's like, oh my God, maybe they should take it. And Jeremy's like, no. So then they go public and they go from 16.
Jeremy or Goldman Sachs?
To 80. Okay. No, I'm sorry, from 10. They went public at 10 to 80. They went up 8 times in a matter of weeks. Now they've fallen back and they're only 50. But that's a lot bigger than 16.
Now, let me give you a little reminder, because you don't have to hear it from me. This is Stephen Narov, who was there when with Ethereum from the very beginning. Listen to what he's recollecting.
Was it possible? I know there was, and this is in Camilo Russo's book, Vitalik used to stay with me on and off throughout that whole year, even though he said he only met me a few times in early 2014. And I do recall that on our Slack boards, there was a lot of veiled comments about the banks infiltrating us and JP Morgan. It was actually, they were mostly, if I remember, it was focused on Goldman Sachs, which was where supposedly Joe had worked previously. And Vitalik came in and I said, and I called him V, and I said, yo, V, check this out. And I'm like, they're like, they seem to be making clear references to Joe as being a plant by the banks to take over Ethereum. And Vitalik turned red, and this is in Camilo Russo's book, and he went and he wrote, and he says, we're user agnostic, and if banks want to use it, that's just great. And if, whoever wants to use it, that's fine. And I was like, that's cool. That was good that you did that. And then I'm like, Joe being a plant for the banks, this is like nuts. And like, I think I got that one wrong. So, it's, takes a big man to make, admit his errors. And there were some people on there that were clearly more tuned in. And it was ironic because, I'm a fairly astute person.
Okay. Now, look. Who's one of the, well, let's go to him first. Who's one of the biggest haters of Ripple and XRP, one of the most vocal out there? Ryan Selkus. Ryan Selkus, where did he come from before he got into crypto? JP Morgan. Remember, he had he's on video telling you he's got, about Mt. Gox, that he had some information. He's the one that broke that Mt. Gox had been hacked, and he broke it, right after he sold his Bitcoin. Right? Same guy. We've played videos with him where he was meeting, and JP Morgan and Consensus had formed the Ethereum Alliance, and he was there when it first started. And then who are they trotting out now? Tom Lee. Where was Tom Lee before? Where was he right before he started Fundstrat? That would be JP Morgan for years. Let's see. He was at JP Morgan from 1999 all the way to 2014 when he starts Fundstrat Global. Now you're seeing him on CNBC, you're seeing him everywhere about how he's the largest Ethereum holder, which means he had to be a disguised whale. So where do you think he heard about Ethereum? Because we know JP Morgan was working there. This isn't hard to figure out, folks, against the backdrop of everything we've been through. Just in, Ripple's buying Toronto-based stablecoin payments firm Rail for $200 million in a bid to bolster RLUSD ecosystem. Brad Garlinghouse says no such thing as an August doldrums at Ripple. Very excited to share that we're acquiring Rail Financial. Ripple plus Rail together will be the go-to provider of stablecoin payments infrastructure for global financial institutions around the world. Rail tweeted, big news, Rail's joining Ripple, a huge milestone in our mission to build trusted enterprise-grade infrastructure for global payments. We power 10% of all B2B stablecoin volume. Now with Ripple's backing, we're scaling even faster. Thank you to our team, clients, partners, investors, more to come. Look at this, well. Look who the lead investors are for Rail that's just been acquired by Ripple. That would be Galaxy, our old buddy Mike Novogratz firm. Speaking of Mike Novogratz, here he is.
You know, bull market, enjoy it while it lasts. Never does. We're in a bull market. Trump last night came out and talked about crypto assets being eligible for 401ks. I mean, that's a monster pool of capital. And what we're just seeing is through these treasury companies, through all kinds of different avenues, the aperture of being able to buy crypto being widened and widened and widened. More avenues bringing people into the tent. I think one of the things that I actually didn't even comprehend is these treasury companies have done so well. The public equity markets are so much bigger than what the crypto markets were. And so as we're really broadening our reach through public equities into our asset class, you're just seeing tons of money pour in.
You're going to see a lot more tons of money pour in. I got a lot more. We're going to go in DAIXRP.com. That's the Patreon. If you'd rather join through YouTube, click join right below any of these videos. If you'd rather join through X, hit subscribe. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. Here we go. I got a lot more. This rabbit hole goes a lot deeper, folks. I'm going to show that to you as well. Here we go.